So in this next series, I want to explore some big questions that take us all the way back and take us all the way out into the questions of purpose and meaning of life. And I want to then bring it right back to home with a very practical and current issue. So basically, in the last few weeks, there's been two big things in the news. The first has been the discovery of the Higgs boson, and that's huge news in my mind. I want to talk a little bit about that, and then I want to circle back to the issue of immigration and see if the discovery of the Higgs actually impacts the way we might think about issues like immigration. So that's where I'm heading with this. So forgive me if your knowledge of the Higgs boson is way beyond mine. I'm still struggling to understand this thing, but I'm getting a very strong intuition that this is a huge discovery which changes everything in the way we think about the world, and that as time goes by, in the next couple of years, we're going to hear more about it and the way it impacts our worldview. So let me start with just some simple statements about the Higgs, the discovery of the Higgs field and the particle which is the Higgs boson. So if I understand it correctly, the Higgs boson was what gives matter mass. In other words, before the Higgs, everything was formless, everything was the same, homogeneous, just blobs of nothingness. And then the Higgs boson was what came and gave matter mass. So the Higgs boson, which arrived apparently 1 picosecond after the Big Bang, was the match that lit life as we now know it. Obviously not as we know it now, but the way it's evolved over the many billions of years. So the analogy that I found most helpful in understanding the Higgs was actually one from contemporary culture. So imagine the scene. It's a street scene. There's lots of teenagers standing out on a street. Now, they're all on their own, they're independent, and they're completely lifeless. I mean, maybe they've got cell phones, but apart from the cell phones, there's no life in them at all. Just teenage boys and girls spotted around the street, independent, lifeless pieces of matter. Now, if you can picture that, now imagine that Justin Bieber arrives on the street, gets out of his stretch limo, and starts to walk down the street. What's going to happen? The teenagers are going to go wild. They're going to be drawn to him like a magnet. Now, once Biebs arrives on the street, suddenly these independent pieces of, or particles or pieces of matter suddenly have life. Suddenly they have mass. Together they're drawn to Biebs. Now the whole group moves as one up and down the street. It's an irresistible force now. You couldn't go against it if you wanted to. So Biebs is the boson. That's the message that I'm getting from this. The boson is the catalyst for life. It's like the glue that draws particles together and creates mass. Now, I'm sure there's a whole lot more that could be said about this, but very generally, let me say that the reason I think this is huge is because it's another piece of a puzzle as to where we came from. It's another piece of the puzzle as to why we live in an incredible universe that is full of wonder, that's full of mystery. And this is just the next piece in the puzzle. I'm sure it's not the last. I'm sure there's more to come. But this is a piece. It's an exciting piece that reminds us to feel the joy and the privilege of participating in a mysterious universe which holds all life together.